Hi, my name is Anna Schmiel, and this is my application for the Innovators program. Growing up, I always knew I was different. Most things made me anxious. I had trouble reading, and I didn't walk quite right. I think if I hadn't been born different, I might have tried to live a more normal life, but because I was born different, and I was constantly reminded of this by teachers and my classmates, I decided to just lean into it and to do and to learn as much as I could. I think because I was different, I was always interested in learning about others' differences. I loved learning about how others live and the beautiful things that they create. And this led me to do cultural preservation work in Myanmar with a professor in college, and also to conduct research in an eco-village in rural Missouri. Now, as I alluded to above, I identify with the disability community. I have OCD, and I also had major reconstructive surgery on my legs when I was 13, and I had to learn how to walk again. To be completely honest, I have a difficult time explicitly saying I'm disabled. At times, I don't feel disabled enough to identify this way. And other times, I'm angry that how my brain and body works would even be considered disabilities. I think this internal struggle is something many young people with disabilities feel. You don't want to run away from your identity because you don't want to be seen, you don't want people to think that you're ashamed of it. But at the same time, you don't want to be seen as this one-dimensional person. And I think that's how I demonstrate leadership in my community. I am a leader, and I just happen to have disabilities. I also am a passionate writer. Who was the op-ed editor for my college newspaper for 3 years. And I actively worked to recruit other young female writers to the paper. And I also am a researcher. I conducted research in an eco-village in rural Missouri, where I did research on whether communities existing outside of the system can effectively resist marketization. And right now, I work in North Minneapolis, organizing businesses and connecting them with the resources that they need to grow. So I am many things. I am a multidimensional person, and the fact that I have disabilities is just one dimension of who I am. So, yes, the fact that I have disabilities and I'm a woman with disabilities does mean I experience the world differently. And because of this, I have a vision that I hope will make the world a better place for everyone, including women with disabilities. My long-term goal is to create a post-grad vocational school for women to learn and sell a traditional handicraft. The purpose will be to keep these endangered, culturally important handicrafts alive, connect young people with their culture and learn about others, and cultivate intergenerational learning. The school would eventually act as an intermediary between makers and vendors with the goal of creating a living wage for the makers. I believe that by connecting people with their culture, more value will be placed on artisan goods, and I think that increasing their economic value will allow them and the cultures that they're a part of to survive in our capitalist system. I believe this applies to Blueprint Recommendation number 13. I also feel strongly about this project because it supports women and people with disabilities. Part of the reason I want to establish a school for handicrafts is because this is a livelihood that can be very accommodating to disabilities. However, a support system must be in place for these handicrafts to once again be financially feasible livelihoods. I believe this applies to recommendations number 16 and number 5. Finally, another reason I want to focus on handicrafts is because they've traditionally been women's work. While my project could be seen as reinforcing these norms, I view it as actually putting economic value on the vital, often unpaid or low paid work women do for their communities. It's also a way for young women to develop strong relationships with female elders in their community. And I believe intergenerational mentor-mentee relationships will increase the value of elders in our society. And I think this applies to recommendations 19 and 20. Now, in order to most effectively do this, I need to learn a handicraft. I recently learned my Iron Range relatives were Finnish, and this is a part of my heritage I'd love to connect with. The Iron Range has the second highest number of Finnish Americans in the US, yet their contribution to Minnesotan history and culture isn't nearly as widely known as that of Norwegian and Swedish Minnesotans. Therefore, I think preserving a traditional Finnish handicraft is a great way to connect this project with Minnesotan history. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed my application. Bye.